What's up guys? Today we're going to make a coil-tapped pickup. So you might be thinking, I know what a coil-tapped pickup is. That's when you take a humbucker and you get a single coil sound out of it. But coil-tap is actually a commonly misused term all over the place. And what they're actually talking about is a coil split. A coil tap is something completely different. And today we'll be making a coil-tapped pickup. So with a coil split, you have a humbucker with two coils wired in series. Here's the series connection here. You have a positive lead and you have a negative or ground lead. And to split the coils, this lead can be switched to be your ground or your positive, depending on which coil you want to use. And you get a true single coil sound out of a humbucker. Now with a coil tap, you have your start or your negative, and that goes around the coil, 8,000 or 9,000 times, comes out the other side, connects to this eyelet, and that's your positive. Now, to tap the coil, you have a third eyelet, and somewhere in the middle, you stop, connect the wire to the eyelet, and then keep on winding so that you have this tap in the middle. This is so that you can get, a vintage output or a modern high output pickup from the same pickup by using a double throw, double pole switch or something like that. And same thing, you would just be using the switch to either make this negative or positive depending on which part of the coil you want to use. So if you think about a coil as just a length of wire, you have a starting point. The start is going to be your negative. And then at some point you stop, and that's your coil tap. And then you keep on winding and have your finish, and that'll be the positive. And you can use either section of this tapped coil. All right, so here's my parts for my pickup. I've got the bottom of the bobbin and a base plate, and some .650 poles and a top piece. And I'm actually gonna notch a little bit out of this base plate here so that I can fit another eyelet in here because we need 3. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm gonna drill a hole for our third eyelet, and I've got a 5/64 drill bit here. Alright, we're going to set our magnets into the bobbin. This top piece was pretty loose, it just pressed on with my fingers. So I'm going to use a bit of thin super glue just to hold it in place. Dry faster with some of this. In my last video, I lacquer potted the bobbin to keep the poles insulated from the wire. But just to do a quick insulation job of the poles, I'm going to use some of this thin paper tape. Oops, of it. That way I don't have to wait for the lacquer to dry. Alright, so I'm using 42 gauge plain enamel wire. The spool will go on the floor. I'm going to sand off a little bit of the enamel. This will just ensure a good solder joint. Start with this left eyelet. Put a bit of solder on here to hold the wire on. I'm going to wind this clockwise. I'll just do about 10 winds to get it started. And I'm just checking my guides here. Make sure they're lined up with the bobbin. So I'm going to do 7,700 turns for the first pickup, the vintage output pickup, and then add another 2,000 winds on there for the high output pickup. Alright, that's 7,700 turns. So we're actually going to cut this wire. Take the pickup off. And that's going to connect to our center eyelet where the tap is going. I'm going to sand off a bit of this enamel again so I can solder it. The start of the next bit is just going to go right on that same middle eyelet. And we'll continue on until we get to between 97 and 9,900 turns. Alright, so we're at 10,039 turns. That should be a nice hot pickup. Cut the wire. Sand off a little bit of enamel. And this is just going into the last eyelet over here. Alright, so we're going to test our pickup. We have our start negative or ground. And this is our tap for our vintage style pickup. 6.3 or so. And then the extra winds added on for a modern pickup, 8.3K. So that should be a good difference between the vintage and the modern sound here. Alright, so I'm going to connect my lead wires. These are already pre-tinned. Go with green for the ground or negative. That one's a bit longer because it's going to connect to the base plate. For the tap, we'll go with this yellow one. And the finish will be red. I already charged these magnets up. We covered that in the episode where I made a Stratocaster pickup. I'm gonna put some tape over the poles. And you always want to do this with Telecaster pickups because you basically don't want the magnets to be in the electrical circuit. They should be insulated from the ground. So now that's going to go right on there. And bend over this negative wire here so that I can solder that to the base plate. Here's how you can wire up your switch to a push-pull pot. So I've got it, when it's up, it's connecting the high output modern pickup, and this is just my output. This will go to, you know, my switch or the volume controller or whatever. So when it's up, it's high output. When it's down, it's connected to this yellow wire. That's the vintage pickup. The green goes to the ground. So with this pickup, you basically get a vintage output Telecaster pickup in the low 6K range, and you also get a more modern, higher output pickup in the low 8K range. So with the vintage pickup, you get something that's a lot brighter, that sort of favors the wound strings. And then I'll switch to the low 8K modern pickup, which favors the plain strings and has more output. That's pretty fun to play. I can't really decide which position I like better. I think they're both equally useful. Anyway, if you like this build and if you like this video, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and like and comment in the comments if you want to see any other types of videos in the future. And thanks for watching Skylar Pickups. Come again.